Good morning, and welcome to this online service of the Unitarian Universalist Church of the South Hills, also known as Sunnyhill. We're delighted that you could join us for this service. Our mission at Sunnyhill is to create a more just and compassionate community within and beyond our walls. My name is Rebecca Senaway, and I serve as a worship associate for this congregation. If you're a newcomer or visitor to our congregation, please go to sunnyhill.org and click on the button that says New to Sunnyhill to receive more information about our congregation and to receive our weekly email newsletter. Today's service explores issues related to the challenge of being thankful even in difficult times. While we would all like to cultivate a thankful attitude toward life, it can sometimes be a challenge, especially in our current era of hyperpolarization and a pandemic that just won't quit. How can we be thankful in thankless times? Our opening words were written by Michael LeDuc. May we look with gratitude upon this day, for the beauty of the world, for the first radiance of dawn, and the last smoldering glow of sunset. Let us be thankful for physical joys, for hills to climb and hard work to do, for music that lifts our hearts in one breath, for the hand clasp of a friend, and for the gracious loveliness of children who remind us of the wonders of life. May we be appreciative above all for the concern and love of those around us, for the exceeding bliss of the touch of the holy, which suddenly awakens our drowsy souls to the blessed awareness of the divine within us and within others. For all of this, and for the countless other blessings present in our lives, let us be grateful. We light our chalice in celebration of the many gifts we have been given.
Good morning. I'm pleased to provide this brief update on our stewardship efforts. As of November 23rd, when we last updated our pledge spreadsheet, we had received 57 pledges out of approximately 220 pledging units, totaling $115,706. Our goal is $440,000, so we're a little over a quarter of the way there, although I'll also note that we've received a number of pledges in the last few days that are not included in that total to date. So far, almost all pledges we have received have been the same or more than last year, and some have been significantly higher. So thank you to all who have pledged, especially to those who have stretched a little bit this year. There's still time to get your pledge in. Just visit sunnyhill.org and click on the button that says Pledge 2022. It only takes about a minute, and it will be a great help to us as we plan our budget for next year. Thanks, as always, for your great generosity in supporting Sunnyhill and our mission to create a just and compassionate community within and beyond our walls. I also want to say that we're excited and maybe a little anxious about opening again for indoor, in-person services at Sunnyhill. We'll be using an RSVP system, at least for the first few services, so that we can plan for the appropriate number of people in our sanctuary, given the fact that the pandemic is still very much a concern, even among those who are fully vaccinated. We'll be sharing the RSVP link in the Beat and via email the Wednesday before each service. So for example, for the December 12th service, we'll be sending the RSVP link in the Beat on November 8th and an email to all members that same day. Also keep in mind that we'll continue to live stream all of our services on both Facebook and YouTube. And we've recently made some changes in technology that have improved our streaming capabilities. So high quality streaming services are here to stay and will always be an option. We're grateful to everyone for your patience and for your cooperation in masking and taking other precautions. Thank you.
Once upon a time there was a family. Maybe this family had not quite enough to eat. Or maybe they had just about enough. Or perhaps they had more than enough. You might not have been able to tell. They might not have been able to tell. Sometimes it's hard to tell if you have enough or not. It's hard not to want more or different things than you already have. In any case, this family came together one autumn day for a celebration, a feast, a time of gratitude. They gathered, as many of us have done this week, around a table. There was food and drinks and flowers to remind them of beauty. And then there was a call from the gate outside their door. "Hello, we're hungry and thirsty, and we see you have a feast. May we come in?" Well, the family didn't know at first how to answer. Who were these people at the gate? Was it safe to let these people in? Did they have enough to share? Was there room? But they remembered. They remembered that most of them had come to this family, to this celebration, from someplace else. They remembered that even they, who were there at the table, had not always been kind to each other. There had been times when they hurt each other. There were still times when they made each other sad or angry or afraid. There's no way to make life completely safe after all. They remembered times when others had shared with them, even when the others might not have had quite enough of their own. They remembered when each new member of the family had been born, or come to stay, or married in. They remembered that each always found a way to make room. And they remembered an old saying, when you have more than you need, it's better to build a longer table than a higher fence. We have enough, they said. We might have more than enough. And we're many and strong, and we could hold a safe space here in our home for all who come. And so they went out of their door to the gate in the fence. They opened it up and invited the people who were there to come inside. Once back in the house, they pulled out another table and made space for these newcomers. They covered it with a cloth, and the newcomers set upon it a dish full of something fragrant and delicious, which was strange and wonderful to the family. Everybody shared, and there was enough. I want us to notice that we only heard one part of that story. We heard the story of the people who were in the family in the house, ready to feast. We didn't hear the story of the people at the gate, wanting to come inside. We don't know who they are, or why they are there, or what they bring to the table, other than that strange and wonderful food. So when you hear stories this Thanksgiving season, I want you to think about whose stories they are, and whose stories they aren't, and what those other stories might have been.
In the dark, far outside, waves are crashing with the tide. But we're here in this place. There's a quiet, holy grace. In the dark,
Each week at this time in the service, we share joys and sorrows that have been submitted by members of the congregation. After each joy or sorrow that I read, please respond by saying, "We hold you in our hearts." First, a joy submitted by Mike Gravitt. Mike says, "I noticed the live stream of last Sunday, November 21st service sounded incredible. As we move forward, it is great to know we can now enjoy the live services in high quality, whether we attend in person or not, and further being able to enjoy services for years to come." Mike says, "I want to thank and commend the folks who I know work very hard to give us all this experience and who also made the pre-recorded services consistently available through the past couple of years. To all who have helped and continue to help us record and stream services, and believe me, it does take a village, we hold you in our hearts." A joy from Hank and Mary Leah Kretschmar. They say, "We are so grateful to be celebrating 50 years of marriage on December 4th. To the Kretschmars on this joyous occasion, we hold you in our hearts." a sorrow related to the recent incident in Waukesha, Wisconsin. We grieve for all of those affected by this senseless act of violence that resulted in 6 deaths and some 60 people injured. We pray for healing for everyone who is suffering and traumatized. To all those experiencing loss and trauma, we hold you in our hearts. Please join me in the spirit of meditation or prayer as I read these words written by Naomi King. Every day we experience hunger and yearning for food, for approval, for respect, for love, for meaningful work, for any and enough work, for home, for family, for friends, for health, for healing, for hope, for the departed, for the newly arrived, for the green trees, for the cool, clean waters, for shade in the heat of the day, and for stars to light the velvet night. Every day we are invited anew to be thankful for food, for approval, for respect, for love, for meaningful work, for any and enough work, for home, for family, for friends, for health, for healing, for hope, for the departed, for the newly arrived, for the green trees, for the cool, clean waters, for shade in the heat of the day, and for stars to light the velvet night. Our hearts beating in liberating flight, we soar in gratitude for all the gifts we have in this day, in this lifetime of being, and turn again to share this bounty with all that is. Amen, and blessed be.
Winds be still, storm clouds pass and silence come. Peace grace this time with harmony. Fly, bird of hope, and shine, light of love, and in calm little fight tranquility. Bird, fly high, lift our gaze toward distant view, help us to sense life's mystery. Fly high and far and lead us each to see how we move through the winds of eternity. Light shine in, illuminate our inward view, help us to see with clarity. Shine bright and true, so we may join our songs in new songs that become full symphony.
Our guest speaker today is the Reverend Dr. Susan Frederick-Gray, president of the Unitarian Universalist Association. I first came to know of Susan when I attended the 2012 UUA General Assembly in Phoenix, Arizona. At that time, Susan served the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Phoenix, where she became a nationally recognized voice for immigrant rights and played a critical role in the long-term campaign to end the constitutional violations of Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio. Susan has gone on to do great work in her role as UUA president, and I'm grateful to her for sharing this sermon and guided meditation.
Dear ones, I'm going to be honest with you. For me, these past few months have been rough. As the pandemic wears on, I have experienced a level of exhaustion I have not known before. And it's not just the pandemic. It's witnessing the devastating impacts of widespread disinformation, the attacks on our democracy, the attacks on people's lives and rights. It's the attack on women's rights and reproductive health. And it is living through the increasingly frequent impacts of climate change. It has all been so much. And there is still so much grief at the loss of loved ones, family members, friends, and the nearly incalculable loss of so many lives to this pandemic. The despair is real. If you are feeling it, I want you to know you are not alone. I knew this in-between or liminal time would be more difficult than the early days of the pandemic, but I didn't really appreciate how it would feel in my body and spirit. But here's the thing that is saving me now. I have found myself out of necessity turning towards gratitude. As we enter this season of holidays and holy days, we have an opportunity to draw our attention to what sustains us, to draw our attention to the sources of love and care and gratitude in our lives. However you celebrate, holidays are a time that, and the rituals that surround them, are an opportunity for reflection. They often invite us to remember our past, which can bring joy as well as sorrow. But they also remind us to be attentive to the present moment. The writer and activist Adrienne Marie Brown writes, "I have had to soften my grip on a fearful future narrative and return to the humility of the present." I have had to soften my grip on a fearful future narrative and return to the humility of the present. Spiritually, in my daily practice, I am leaning into gratitude and attention to the sustaining present moment because I need a way to get in touch with the sources of joy and compassion in my life. Joy and compassion are life-sustaining. We are made for joy and compassion. Leaning into gratitude for this earth, gratitude for the relationships that sustain me, leaning into the presence of love that surrounds me and all of us, leaning into the gift that is present with each breath of life. This practice is bringing more joy and light into my spirit. Gratitude is a foundation for so many of the values and qualities that we hope to nurture. Gratitude helps us appreciate our loved ones and bring more care and attention to that which matters most. With time and consistency, practicing gratitude does nurture more joy in life. It makes us attentive to the beauty and the gifts that surround us and that are not of our own making. Gratitude helps us turn our unrealized desires to an appreciation of what we already have, and for what Adrienne Marie Brown describes as the humility of the present. Gratitude is a foundation for touching the earth with reverence, a practice of seeing life and the beauty of creation as a gift and treating it as such. Practicing gratitude, being intentional in taking time to name what we are grateful for, also reminds us of our fundamental interdependence. When I ask myself, what am I grateful for? I think of the people that I love and who love me. I think of the relationships that sustain me. I think of my sweet dog and how much I love him, how grateful I am for his presence in our family. I think of the gift of the earth. I open my attention and give thanks for the blue sky or the rain, for the trees and the sun, for the wind and the life-giving water. I remember the fundamental interdependence in which I am held, in which all life is held. And I feel that as a source of strength and connection. One of the things I love most about gratitude is that it's concrete. We all know what gratitude means. We know what it is to feel thankful. On the one hand, gratitude is simple and clear. However, when we really foster an intentional practice of being mindful every day, of taking time every day to think about what we are grateful for, to think about the gifts that have come to us and sustain us, we realize that gratitude actually has the power to deeply change our perspective. It has the power to shape and reshape our communities and our culture. Gratitude is incredibly powerful. Gratitude is a concrete practice that with time unlocks a generosity of spirit and a generosity of love. Experiencing our interconnectedness, experiencing the ways that we are not isolated beings, but deeply connected and held by gifts not of our own making, inspires a generosity of spirit for ourselves and for others. It inspires a desire to nurture those connections with love, to pay more attention to what matters. So I am calling myself back to gratitude these days. I am calling myself back to a practice of gratitude to find my way through the grief and the fear and the struggle and the despair. Now, to be clear, this practice of gratitude doesn't make our grief or my grief go away. And it doesn't mean I don't still have moments of fear and anger or feel gripped by despair. Intentional spiritual practice actually makes space for all of us to welcome whatever is present in our hearts. And gratitude reminds me that that is not all that life holds for me. There are so many ways to create a regular practice of gratitude. I know people who have gratitude journals who spend a little time each day writing down 1 or 2 or 3 things that they were grateful for from that day. Many years ago, I had a practice where every time I would cross the threshold of my home, either to leave or to come back home, as I crossed the threshold, I would pause and take a breath, and I would recall something that I was grateful for from the day or from the morning. These days, I am making time in my morning practice to ask myself what I am grateful for and to open my heart to those gifts. When our spirits are worn and weary from grief and loss and fear and anger, which legitimately our spirits are rightfully weary. When we are too short with ourselves or others, too impatient or critical or negative with ourselves or others, gratitude can be a practice that nurtures in us a generosity of spirit, a generosity of kindness. So much right now seeks to isolate us, to divide us, to wear us out and wear us down. Turning towards a concrete practice of gratitude helps combat the ways in which we are being called to isolation and division, because gratitude actually turns us toward each other. Reminds us of our interconnectedness, which is so critically, spiritually needed in our world these days. I know there are times in our lives when our despair and our grief is so great that we may not be able to even name one thing we are grateful for. I know those days are real. However, I also know that even if nothing comes, that just calling our attention to look for things we are grateful for helps open our eyes, our attention, our spirits, so that with time, we can become more aware of the gifts around us. Gratitude and practicing gratitude each day has been saving me. It's been reminding me of joy. It's been inspiring in me more joy, compassion, pleasure, humility. It's been reminding me of the gifts that are present in each moment. And finally, I want to say how grateful I am for all of you, and how grateful I am for this faith that we share. This faith that nurtures and sustains and holds me in these days. My prayer for you, my offering for you, I pray that there may be more moments of gratitude and joy in your days. And know that we are, all of us, deeply connected by unseen but real threads of compassion, of humanity and care. And that this is a source of strength and love in our lives. Blessings to you, blessed be, and I love you. I invite you, as you are willing, into this time of meditation and reflection, and into this practice of gratitude. If you like to write as a way of reflection, feel free to grab a journal or a piece of paper or something to write with. It's also okay just to find a comfortable position to sit in or stand in, or whatever is most comfortable for you and your body, to help you feel at ease. First, I invite you to take a few relaxing breaths. In and out. Feel free to close your eyes if that is most comfortable, or to leave them gently open. Breathe in a way that feels comfortable and relaxing. I invite you at first just to pay attention to your body. If there's a place of tension or pain, imagine breathing your breath into that part of your body. Imagine the breath sort of expanding that area of tension, and then breathing out through that pain or tightness, feeling the muscles release with the out breath. With breathing in, sort of expand your attention in any area of tension. Breathe out through that area, letting the tension go. Breathing in through areas of tension, and out, letting go of that tension or pain if you can. Now I invite you to bring your attention to your heart space, to your chest, maybe your abdomen if you prefer. Again, just gentle breaths, breathing that feels natural and relaxing. And just be aware of anything that you're feeling. If you're feeling joy or calm and peace. If you're feeling sadness or grief or anxiousness, just be aware of it. Breathe alongside that feeling. Offer yourself compassion for whatever may be present to you right now. As you continue to breathe, ask yourself if there's anything or anyone you are feeling grateful for. Just ask yourself in your heart, what or who are you grateful for? Is there anyone who's caring for you, showing you care, inspiring you, comforting you? Anyone who you love, who you are grateful for? Hold that person, those people. Visualize them, hold them in the gratitude that you feel for them. Breathe in that feeling of gratitude. Breathe out that gratitude for those loved ones. I invite you to just take a few more breaths. And as you do so, I invite you to think about anything about this day, anything that's happened, anything that you're looking forward to. If you have a window nearby, maybe you can see some sky or sun or tree or rain. Just be present to that. Take it in. Hold in your attention anything that you are grateful for from this day, that you're grateful to be looking forward to in this day. Anything that's present to you right now. I'm giving thanks for the sunshine after so much rain. Just hold that gratitude and that attention in your heart, in your mind, as you breathe in and out gently. Take a few more breaths and imagine just opening your heart space wide and asking if there's anything else you're grateful for. Their friends or community, faith, connections that you appreciate and feel attentive to. Open your heart to other things then in your life in this moment that you are feeling grateful for. Hold those in your attention. Breathe in that feeling of gratitude. Breathe in imagining or holding in your mind those people, those things, those connections. Breathe in that gratitude. It's also okay if some of our relationships are mixed with other emotions besides gratitude. Be present to that. Breathe it in. As you continue to breathe, just take a moment to hold in your attention all these connections, all these relationships, all these gifts that you are grateful for. Bring them to your attention again together. Breathe in the gratitude you feel. Breathe out gratitude across those connections. And as you are ready, as you continue to just breathe gently, you can bring your attention back to this time, to your body, to each other, gathered in meditation. And as we close, and as you breathe gently, maybe offer a word in silence or out loud or spoken, just a word of gratitude for these gifts. Blessed be, and amen.
We do not have a designated offering this morning, but if you'd like to make a gift to Sunnyhill via our online giving system, you can do so one of two ways. You can go to sunnyhill.org and click on the button that says Online Giving, and then follow the instructions. Once you get to the drop-down menu, just choose either 2021 Pledge Collections for payments towards your pledge, or non-pledge collections for any other gifts. Or you can give by text at 412-324-3130. Thank you for your generosity.
Wake now my senses and hear the earth call. Feel the deep power of being in all. Keep with the web of creation your vow. Giving, receiving as love shows us how. Wake now my reason, reach out to the new. Join with each pilgrim who quests for the true. Honor the beauty and wisdom of time. Suffer thy limit and praise the sublime. Wake now, compassion, give heed to the cry. Voices of suffering fill the wide sky. Take as your neighbor both stranger and friend, praying and striving their hardship to end. Wake now, my conscience, with justice thy guide. Join with all people whose rights are denied. Take not for granted a privileged place. God's love embraces the whole human race. Wake now, my vision of ministry clear. Brighten my pathway with radiance here. Mingle my calling with all who will share. Work toward a planet transformed by our care.
Please join me in saying the words to extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Thank you again for joining us for this online service. Next Sunday's service on December 5th will be centered on themes related to Hanukkah and will be live streamed from our sanctuary. We'll close now with these words from Charles Howe. May we go forth from this time together, thankful for the life that sustains and renews us, and open to the grace that surrounds and surprises us. May we go forth with openness and with thanksgiving. Go in peace.